the Sonic movie 2. What a brilliant and perfect movie. Sure, it had a few flaws, like that really weird dance scene because of the song choice, but whatever. The Sonic movie 2 was a fantastic film, and the ending with the post-credit scene was crazy. I am honestly excited to see where they're going to take it, especially with Shadow. I'm just excited. I mean, it's not now Sonic, but I'm still excited anyway, because I like Shadow. But anyway, let's dive into the Sonic movie 3 idea. Part 1. Plot and setting. The film would take place a full year after the events of Sonic 2. Gun are now a full operation, as they are still on the lookout for Dr. Robotnik, who is now the most wanted man in America, as it shows in the news. It's also confirmed that Gun can't exactly pinpoint whether Robotnik is dead or not, but that plays a little bit later on into the story. As for Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, they're still the guardians of the Master Emerald. But anyway, the film would open up with Sonic running around the Grand Canyon doing flips and being himself as usual, when suddenly Tails comes flying in on his newly built Tornado 2.0, which is like a blue painted version of it, with Knuckles in the seat, just chilling basically. This would obviously be a callback to Sonic Heroes' opening cutscene for Team Sonic, which I think would be a really cool idea, and I think it would fit perfectly. Tails then informs Sonic about some crooks and criminals that are robbing the jewelry store in Green Hills. Sonic then jumps onto the plane and it flies off to Green Hills. We would then get an action scene where a bunch of robbers would try to steal a bunch of jewellery from the store, and Tom and Wade are on the scene. However, they get caught and are held by the robbers, until Sonic and co arrive and are able to stop the robbers and possibly even terrify them. And it ends with the group basically being cheered by the townsfolk of Green Hills, with Tom being very happy that, well, Sonic, his now son, is, he's a hero, he's a good guy. And all the Green Hills people, they love Sonic as well, and Tails, and they all basically accept them. And anyway, we would then see Sonic and co return home, where they would meet Tom and Maddie to, have some dinner. And it would be a nice moment where we'd see them actually as a family, bantering, just talking about all different things, and I think that would actually be a really good idea. Just to show kind of Sonic with his family, just something he's always wanted. He wants to be with people he knows. He wants to be not alone, and I find that so cool. Well, in a Gun base, Commander Waters, leader of Gun, talks with the other higher rank members about Project Shadow and what's the next course of action. They talk about how it's now in a gun base located inside Mount Everest. Then one of the higher ranked members talks about seeing an egg drone, and how it then exploded before they could trace where the signal was coming from. Agent Stone, who is pretending to be a gun soldier, hears everything in the meeting, and after when he is dismissed, he heads to his apartment in a city and makes a call on a machine that is a hologram device. Meanwhile, in Egypt, in the Pyramid of Giza, outside the Pyramid of Giza, a tour guide gives a tour of it all. However, it mentions about the pyramid. However, inside the pyramid, Dr. Robotnik has been hiding there ever since Sonic has defeated him. There he's been building his army and using it as a factory to make hundreds of badniks, including nanotechnology badniks, and of course some new badniks, for example like, let's say, the crab meats or the caterpillars. Those would be cool to see in the movie form, and of course the standard egg drones. We would then see Robotnik get a call from Agent Stone as he answers it. Stone tells the Doctor about Project Shadow and he is being moved to guard the creature. Robotnik then says well done to Stone and smiles at this. He then walks over to his Eggmobile and he gets into it. And he passes across a capsule which has Sonic's quill in it. Robotnik then gets into his Eggmobile and flies away to the Mount Everest. Along the way, Agent Stone tells him that the person who, made Shadow was named Gerald Robotnik. Robotnik then remembers that name Gerald from somewhere, but he can't seem to remember where. Anyway, Robotnik ends up in Mount Everest and uses his egg drones to take out some of the guards on the outposts. This alerts the guards to everywhere, before Agent Stone presses a button overriding the security and allowing Robotnik to fly straight in and destroy some of the other drones. While Agent Stone's undercover as a gun agent and is tricking the entire security force. We would then see Robotnik just annihilate the gun bases. I think it would be a cool idea. Just seeing him go mental with all that power, with all these machines that he has. It would be cool seeing him just use gadgets against his own technology that they have, considering at the end of the second film they said that they had all of his technology and stuff. After making his way through all of the security, Robotnik then sees the door that holds Shadow inside. As he walks inside, Robotnik looks at the control panel, which is connected to the device, and he decides to give the ultimate life form a bit of a wake-up call. Robotnik then opens up his jacket and takes out Sonic's quill, and he puts it into the machine and starts to program it in. However, it needs a password in order to activate its power source, and there would be a moment where Robotnik would try to guess the passwords and it would not work, and he would get frustrated. Agent Stone would tell him the password is Maria, and Robotnik recalls the name again, but he can't seem to know. Anyway, the capsule then begins to overload with power as it opens up slowly, and then, as it builds up its power, with all the electricity going around it, it overloads, and then suddenly all that happens is Shadow's eyes open, and a giant explosion happens, revealing none other to Dr. Eggman, Shadow the Hedgehog Awakens. Robotnik is confused at first on what Shadow is, but then he suddenly realizes that he's a bit different. Shadow then tells him who he is and says he'll give him one wish, to which the Doctor jokes about him being a genie. Then Eggman talks about wanting to conquer the world. However, he's interrupted when Agent Stone informs the Doctor that security is coming through. Shadow offers to help to show his loyalty, and we would see a cool scene where he would take down some of the gun soldiers and gun guards. After that, Shadow tells Eggman to meet him on the space colony Ark, to which Eggman is confused at first. However, Shadow then leads Gun's forces away while Eggman escapes, and Agent Stone changes the security footage to returns to pretending he's a gun agent. And we would see Shadow kind of lead them away and towards sort of Green Hills. Then cut to Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, who are guarding the Master Emerald when suddenly a giant explosion can be seen in Green Hills. Sonic is the first to head over, and he finds Shadow the Hedgehog just destroying everything and looking for the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic and Shadow would have a conflict, like a battle. However, the fight would end as Shadow is drawn to the Master Emerald's power and races towards Tom and Maddie's house. Meanwhile, Tails and Knuckles spot Robotnik trying to nab the emerald, so they end up fighting him, but Robotnik ends up retreating after, hearing about Gun coming towards them. Sonic and Shadow race each other at incredible speeds, and it would be an awesome fight. Tails and Knuckles would spot Shadow and Sonic. They would then decide to help. Just as Knuckles is about to punch Shadow, Shadow does a backflip and manages to fight them all off. And he grabs the Master Emerald and makes a dash for it. Sonic zooms forward and chases Shadow, and he ends up spin dashing into Shadow, and he ends up dropping the Master Emerald. Shadow manages to escape with one Chaos Emerald and teleports away. Just in the aftermath, as Sonic is trying to piece together what's going on with Tails and Knuckles, Sonic is then caught by Tom and Maddie, who are both incredibly angry with Sonic for destroying pretty much almost everything in the town. Suddenly, Gun shows up and they lock up Sonic. Much to Tom's refusal, Gun tries to find Tails and Knuckles, who manage to escape, and Gun can't find them with no luck. Gun then takes the other 6 emeralds and locks them up in a van. However, what they don't know is that a certain bat comes in and grabs one of the emeralds before making a dart away, without being seen. Elsewhere, Shadow and Robotnik watch from the distance and discuss what to do. Shadow tells about Space Colony Arc and kind of which room he should meet in, and Shadow teleports away and Robotnik retreats to his base. Robotnik then uses the space like a teleporter to get to the Space Colony Arc. There he would meet back up with Shadow, who has the Chaos Emerald, and here we would get this iconic moment where he talks about the Eclipse Cannon and what it can do, about Gerald and what he built. And of course he puts it in there and explains how to reactivate the Eclipse Cannon. Shadow then mentions that the Chaos Emeralds are used to power the Eclipse Cannon. Just as Eggman begins to kind of put together all of this, Rouge jumps in and offers to help. To which Robotnik is not too sure of having a former gun spy, but Rouge serves her loyalty by giving another emerald to Eggman. Shadow looks at Rouge with disgust, and Rouge will try to flirt with Shadow. Just then, Agent Stone calls the Doctor, informing him that Gun has moved the remaining emeralds to the old prison island. Robotnik, who clearly heard Rouge, tells Stone that he knows who he is. Robotnik and, Shadow decide that they need to get the emeralds from that island. And so, all of them, that would include Eggman, Rouge and Shadow, as well as Stone, they all come to an agreement that they need to find the emeralds on the island. So they devise a plan in order to get them. Then cut to Tom and Maddie, who manage to find Tails and Knuckles. Tails tells them that it wasn't, Sonic, and shows them an image he took. Tom and Maddie finally realise, and they team up with Tails and Knuckles to break Sonic out of jail. They end up going back to, Tom's house, and they do a bit of research on Project Shadow, and that's where they learn a bit about him. And they decide to take the newly made Tornado 2 to go rescue Sonic. Meanwhile, we see Sonic being thrown into a prison cell with a bunch of writing on the wall, and Commander Walters looks at Sonic and tells him that he may have captured Sonic, and he will capture Robotnik. Then soon, those two lunatics will be under control. Well, anyway, thanks to Agent Stone, I should say, who manages to get Robotnik onto the island without being known, Robotnik tells Shadow and Rouge that he will draw the guards' attentions while Rouge breaks into the base and nabs the remaining 4 emeralds. Rouge agrees to the idea, and Shadow goes with Eggman. Gun spots Robotnik and orders all the men to attack the Doctor, then realising the security is actually down. Meanwhile, Tails flies the Tornado with Tom and Maddie and explains that he made some modifications after when the last time it got destroyed. Tails lands on the loading bay and tells Tom and Maddie that Eggman is only a distraction and that Sonic is in one of the cells, which would probably be a reference to when Sonic Adventure 2 came out. It would probably be cell 2001 down below. However, they bump into Eggman, and as Eggman and Shadow, I should mention, as Tom and Maddie are about to enter, being surrounded by, Eggman, Tails jumps in and fights the Doctor. Tom and Maddie find Sonic, and they mention something about a black hedgehog. Sonic realises that's the same hedgehog he fought, and he races forward, leaving Tom and Maddie with some writing that they kind of are confused at. Meanwhile, Rouge busts into the vault and finds the emeralds. However, she's confronted by Knuckles, and the two fight and bicker, as usual. However, she's knocked out in a fight with Knuckles, and Knuckles manages to nab one of the emeralds, leaving the only 3 left. Meanwhile, Tails and Robotnik would fight in a glorious battle, to which Robotnik leaves Tails as he realises that the bomb is almost going to go off. Here we see this second Shadow and Sonic fight, which would be very fast paced, and we would get the iconic Faker line. However, the fight would end in an argument where Shadow tells Sonic about Maria and how she died, and how revenge is the only way. Sonic then remembers Longclaw in a flashback. However, Eggman then radios to Shadow saying they've only got 1 minute left before the island blows up. Sonic then realises that Tom, Maddie, Tails and Knuckles are still on the island, and Shadow, well, he goes off. However, Rouge tells him that she is stuck in the vault and she needs help. Robotnik tells her to forget her, and that the emeralds will probably survive, and that she's just extra weight. Shadow would then get a flashback of Maria, and would decide to help her out. Sonic would race so fast towards Tom and Maddie, who are with Tails and Knuckles. Luckily, the group managed to escape the island just as it's about to explode. Shadow manages to save Rouge and teleports her to the space colony Ark, using the 4 emeralds. On board, Rouge would tell Shadow that she is grateful and thanks him. Shadow shrugs it off, and Rouge gives the 4 emeralds to Eggman, who puts them in the Eclipse cannon and smiles wickedly. After that, Agent Stone contacts the Doctor and tells him that about the security, and thinks that, Gunn, they're having a meeting, and they're talking about that there might be a mole in the operation. Robotnik tells Stone to keep playing the role a bit longer. Back with Sonic and Co, they manage to head into a city, which will be New York City, and there we would see Eggman's announcement. I should also mention that Sonic and the gang, they're going to be staying at Wade's. Wade moved to New York, which I think would be a funny idea. Well, anyway, basically we would see Eggman's iconic announcement about him and his laser piss, but joking aside, he would basically hold the world ransom, and we would get the iconic moment in SA2 where he ends up blowing up the moon with the laser with the Eclipse cannon. This of course would cause ultimate panic as the gun commander Commander Walters watches in fear. He then immediately turns to his second in command and tells them to get every agent on duty or off duty to go after Robotnik. And then also we would see Wade, as soon as he sees it, literally would say, "It's just like the Death Star." Super shocked to see this, especially Sonic. However, Tails finds one of Eggman's drones floating nearby, and is able to track where it's coming from. Knuckles also mentions that he has one of the emeralds. Tails is very happy about this, as he not only invents a fake Chaos Emerald, so that they could trick them as part of the plan. Meanwhile, in Egypt, Agent Stone informs Dr. Robotnik, who is working on a top secret project, that apparently they've been caught, and that Sonic has arrived. Eggman would tell Stone to stick with the plan and to stay hidden in the shadows. As Sonic enters the pyramid, Eggman appears and, well, he presses a button on his glove and summons the Egg Golem. This would lead to a really cool battle between, well, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles and Eggman, but it would end with Sonic vs Eggman. After the carnage, Robotnik would escape using his teleporter and would shut it off so that no one could access it. After that, they find Agent Stone and they force him to tell them how to get to space. Stone tells them that there is a rocket ship, and Sonic and Tails would be in space outfits along with Tom and Maddie as they go up into the air, and Sonic drives the rocket. Meanwhile, Rouge notices that no one is around to get the Chaos Emeralds and contacts Commander Walters, who tells her to get the emeralds and that the mission is almost done. As she finishes, she is caught off guard by Shadow, who locks her up in a room and walks away and tells her that it will all be over soon. Meanwhile, Sonic and the others arrive on the ship and they decide to split up, while Tails, Tom and Maddie will go after, while the group will look for Robotnik and Shadow. Knuckles gives Tails the fake emerald, and Tails gives Sonic the fake emerald, and Sonic goes with Tails, Tom and Maddie. But Sonic then decides to go look for Shadow. After looking around, Tails, Tom and Maddie are caught by Robotnik. Tails tells them that to come to the room, and Robotnik tells Sonic to put the emerald down and to back off. Sonic then gets an idea to trick Eggman, only for it to be a trap. Sonic would tell Tails that he's his best buddy, and tells Tom and Maddie that he loves them, before being sent in a capsule and basically blowing up. Eggman then smiles wickedly as he presses a button on his gloves that reveals his brand new Eggmobile, which is basically his Egg Walker from Sonic Adventure 2. More shocked than ever at this, he then ultimately gets angry and decides to fight Robotnik because Sonic told him to. And here we would get a fight between Tails and Robotnik. We would then cut to Shadow just reminiscing, thinking that Sonic was nothing but just a regular hedgehog. We then see Rouge try to escape, but with no luck. Luckily, Knuckles comes in and saves the day, and Rouge thanks him and tells him that she's on their side. Knuckles doesn't want to think he's been tricked, but then suddenly, Sonic literally just appears. Knuckles is surprised on what's going on and tells him about Shadow and going on, and Sonic says that it's time for him to go face Shadow and to end this. We would then cut back to the battle with Tails and Robotnik, where Tails manages to win. Anyway, we would also hear that, of course, Sonic is still alive, as Tails hears on the transmission, and Knuckles tells them all, and it's so good. It'll be a really sweet moment where they're all just crying in tears. Then we would see Sonic on the speed part, where that iconic moment where Sonic says, "What you see is what you get. Just a guy who loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog." And we would see Sonic and Shadow's final confrontation. And ultimately, Sonic ends up winning. And he ends up stopping the Eclipse Cannon and blows it up. As the group are all celebrating, however, Dr. Eggman steals the actual real Chaos Emerald, the final Chaos Emerald, and puts it into the machine. However, as he starts laughing menacingly, he does suddenly get a video of what appears to be his grandfather, as he finally puts together the pieces that is actually his grandfather, and that he blamed the government for the death of Maria, and how his revenge will come. The message will be spread all over the world as everyone watches, and Commander Walters then looks on and remembers a scientist and the name of Maria somewhere. Even Sonic and co are all confused on who that is, until Robotnik enters the room and explains on who the person is. And that turns out that, well, Gerald Robotnik is actually Dr. Eggman's grandfather. And there would be a joke where Sonic would say, "Well, I can see the resemblance in the mustache," and Robotnik would get really offended at this. And anyway, after that joke, we would then hear a massive earthquake from the Ark, as Tails tells them that due to the part where Eggman put the emerald in, it's all going to go downhill. And so Sonic asks for Eggman's help, and while the two are not mostly on the same terms, they end up agreeing to the idea that they have to save the world. And so everyone all teams up together. and they all go to help out. Shadow, however, doesn't, as he's just happy because the mission's a success. Tom and Maddie try to talk to him and, try and talk him out of it, where they would mention that that's not what Maria wanted. And, well, that revenge is not a good idea. But Shadow protests, saying this is everything she ever wants, and says that it doesn't matter if I die, I'll be happy to see her again. But then Maddie says, but humanity needs a chance to be happy. And then that's when Shadow suddenly remembers about Maria's promise. After that, he teleports away, and Tom and Maddie think he's gone forever. Meanwhile, Sonic, Tails and Robotnik end up entering the area with all the Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic gets them all out, ready to transform. However, Shadow steps in and offers to help, and we would get the iconic moment where an instrumental version of Live and Learn would play. As the Chaos Emeralds float around Sonic and Shadow, the iconicness going through, and then once the emeralds glow, Sonic and Shadow open their eyes, and boom, Super Sonic and Super Shadow, as they fly off to basically save the world. Now here we would get this part, which would mostly be Sonic and Shadow just fighting off different parts of the cannon, like removing the cannon part, and ultimately firing a massive blast of energy to push the Ark back into where it is. As we hear everyone cheering on Sonic and Shadow to tell them that they can do it. Shadow would end up hearing Maria's voice through his head, and he would hear Maria and start crying. Shadow would then remove his inhibitor rings and go full powerful and let out a blast as Sonic is slowly losing energy. However, Shadow then realizes as he looks at Sonic, who's ultimately looking like he's gonna die at this moment. Just then, everyone's confused on what's going on when suddenly they all get teleported away. Sonic tries to communicate with Tails after losing the signal, but Shadow tells him that it's okay, and that this is what he was meant to do, and that he's the hero the world deserves, and that he's doing this for her. And then Sonic is just confused at first on what's going on, but Shadow then says one final thing: "Sayonara, Sonic the Hedgehog," before a massive chaos blast hits the area, and Sonic wakes up on Earth with everyone else with him. He looks all confused. However, as they're all answering questions, we would then pretty much see Sonic holding some sort of ring in his hand. Not like the ones they used for warping, but it's one of Shadow's inhibitor rings. He would then tell them that Shadow was the true hero, and that he didn't, well, make it. And he gives the ring to Rouge. He's very thankful for it. And after that, Sonic and the gang just reminisce about the whole thing, with Tom and Maddie stating that Sonic did a good job to save the world. And then we would get a scene with Tails and Eggman just reminiscing about that Eggman's grandfather. And Robotnik would kind of agree with Tails. Well, for the most part. We would then see Eggman literally stand up and go, "Well, it's been nice, but my Uber is here." And he would press a button, and then suddenly the nanotechnology would transform into the Eggmobile from the games, and he would fly away back to base. After that, Rouge basically would flirt with Knuckles one more time, stating that she's going off on her own terms, as she flies away to a new adventure. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Tom and Maddie decide to head back to Green Hills for a well-needed break. However, Sonic stays behind, and as he looks over at the sunset over a nice day, he then looks at the ring and goes, "You're the real hero this planet deserves. Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog." as he walks away. The post-credit scene would begin with Rouge sitting on a building at night, looking at the inhibitor ring. Suddenly she hears a familiar voice, and it turns out to be Shadow. She hands him the inhibitor ring and tells him, "Now what?" To which Shadow replies that he plans to make this world better than ever for Maria. Rouge then talks about Eggman, to which Shadow replies saying he will find the doctor, and Rouge even asks him to join Gun, to which Shadow turns it down before jumping off a building and racing into the night sky. The second post-credit scene shows Sonic, Tails and Knuckles chilling in a cafe when suddenly, out of the blue, a ring portal opens up and a familiar pink hedgehog jumps out. She tells that her name is Amy Rose and she's looking for Sonic the Hedgehog. And Sonic notices her and she immediately turns into fangirl mode, and Sonic gets uncomfortable and runs away. To which Amy then says, "Was it something I said?" And the film cuts to an end.